The danger of falling in love after the age of 60. The part 97% of people never tell you about. Welcome to Wise Life After 60. So grateful to have you here. Let me share something that has been on my mind ever since it happened. A few days ago, a dear friend of mine, a 67-year-old woman who is calm and self-assured, sat with me in complete silence before finally speaking. Her voice trembled as she said, "I didn't expect this, but I think I'm falling in love again, and it frightens me. It feels like everything stable in my life is starting to slip." That moment made something very clear to me. Falling in love after 60 is nothing like falling in love in our 20s and 30s. It isn't about butterflies or fairy tale excitement anymore. It's about risks, vulnerabilities, and truths that almost no one dares to talk about openly. At this age, you have routines that protect your peace, and an independence you worked years to build. But love can arrive suddenly, like a wave that moves through every corner of your carefully ordered life. It can feel wonderful, yes, but it can also be destabilizing in ways you don't expect. And here's what truly concerns me. Many people over 60 fall into the same emotional traps. They make choices that cost them their stability, their confidence, and sometimes even the security they spent a lifetime creating. Before we proceed, if this topic resonates with you, please consider giving this video a like. And if you want more guidance on navigating love and emotional well-being after 60, remember to subscribe. What you learn might protect not only you, but someone you love deeply. Stay with me. What I'm about to share could save you from one of the most painful experiences someone can face in later life. And I'm not exaggerating. Let's begin. 1. Confusing loneliness with love. Sometimes the most dangerous love story doesn't begin with passion, it begins with silence. And if you've lived long enough, you know exactly the kind of silence I mean. The kind that settles into the house after the children move out, after a partner passes away, or after a divorce you never expected at this stage of life. It's a silence that fills the kitchen in the mornings, the bedroom at night, and the long afternoons when no one calls your name. When you're over 60, this silence can grow into something heavy. You wake up and realize the house is too big, the days feel too long, the evenings stretch without a single conversation. And in that emotional emptiness, loneliness doesn't feel like a visitor. It feels like a shadow that follows you everywhere. So when someone new appears, someone who remembers your stories, listens to your worries, or simply says your name with warmth, your brain reacts instantly. It feels relief. It feels oxygen. And without realizing it, your mind begins to label that feeling as love. Not because it is love, but because it feels better than the loneliness you have been carrying quietly for years. This is the emotional illusion no one warns us about. Loneliness can disguise itself as love so convincingly that we stop noticing the red flags. We fall too fast, trust too quickly, and give more than we should. We bend our boundaries, sacrifice our comfort, and sometimes even give up parts of the life we worked decades to build, all just to avoid feeling alone again. The real tragedy is that people over 60 often blame themselves for this mistake. But it's not a flaw. It's simply what the human heart does when it's starving. What helps isn't rushing into romance, but nourishing your life with friendships, community, small routines of connection, and things that bring meaning back into your days. Love should add to a full life, not replace a hollow space. And as I learned over and over again, recognizing this danger isn't about closing your heart, it's about opening it with clarity, because the story doesn't end here. There's something else we need to look at next. 2. The pressure of time. There's a quiet fear that creeps into the heart after 60, and almost no one admits it out loud. It's the fear that time is running out. You don't say it to your friends, you don't say it to your children, but somewhere deep inside, a voice whispers, "If I don't find love now, will I grow old alone?" This voice is powerful because it doesn't shout. It murmurs gently, softly, almost lovingly, until you start believing it. And once you believe it, every new connection begins to feel like your last chance. That's when the danger begins. I've seen people rush into relationships they barely understood simply because they feared the ticking of the clock. I've watched someone move in with a partner after only a few weeks, not because it felt right, but because they were terrified of wasting time. And I once knew a man named Roberto who married a woman he barely knew. When I asked him why, he said, "At my age, I can't afford to wait." Those words broke my heart, because they weren't about love, they were about fear disguised as urgency. When your mind slips into scarcity mode, you start accepting things you never would have accepted 10 years ago. You overlook red flags. You silence your intuition. You tried to convince yourself that something is better than nothing, even when that something slowly chips away at your peace. But here's the truth many people over 60 never realize, and it changes the entire way we look at late life love. Let me ask you something, and feel free to share with me in the comments. Have you ever felt pressured by your age to make a decision your heart wasn't ready for? 3. Financial vulnerability. You might think that by the time we reach our 60s, we are finally safe from the financial mistakes of youth. But the truth is far more unsettling. The older we get, the more attractive we become. Not romantically, but financially. People don't talk about this enough, yet it's one of the biggest dangers of late-life love. Once you pass 60, you often have something many younger people do not: a paid-off home, retirement savings, pensions, and decades of financial discipline. And to the wrong person, that makes you a perfect target. These individuals rarely arrive looking suspicious. They show up warm, attentive, and emotionally available exactly when loneliness makes you most vulnerable. They build intimacy quickly. They share emotional stories about hardships, debts, legal problems, or health issues. They position themselves as victims of bad luck, and before you even notice it, your empathy becomes the hook they rely on. I knew a woman named Mercedes, brilliant and educated, the kind of person who never imagined she could be deceived. But after years of feeling invisible, she met a man who made her laugh again, who held her hand,
who listened to her stories. It felt like a miracle. And because of that miracle, she didn't question the moment he asked for money. She didn't question why he wanted to merge their finances. She didn't question why everything moved so quickly. She wanted to believe she had finally been chosen. That's how manipulation works. It doesn't look like danger, it looks like tenderness. Protecting yourself doesn't mean becoming cold. It means honoring the life you spent decades building, keeping separate accounts, waiting at least a year before mixing finances. Speak to your children or a legal advisor before signing anything. These aren't signs of distrust. They are signs of wisdom. And maybe the most important truth is this: love should bring peace, not pressure, especially when money enters the conversation. Life has a way of teaching us that the heart needs warmth, but the mind needs clarity. And with that clarity, there's another challenge many people don't expect until it's already unfolding.
4. Two fully lived lives colliding. Have you ever wondered why two people can fall deeply in love after 60, yet struggle the moment they try to live under the same roof? It surprises many of us because we think affection should naturally blend two lives together. But real life in our 60s is far more complex than the romance we imagine. At this age, neither of us is a blank page anymore. We are entire books already written. We carry decades of habits, routines, beliefs, scars, and small rituals that bring us comfort. And the person we love carries a fully written story of their own. When these two stories collide, even the smallest differences can feel surprisingly heavy. I remember Eduardo and Silvia, a couple who loved each other deeply. They held hands whenever they walked, they laughed at the same jokes, they supported each other through illness and worry, but the moment they tried living together, everything shifted. He cherished silence in the morning. She needed to talk. She went to bed early. He stayed awake past midnight. He liked spontaneous spending. She preferred careful planning. Neither was wrong. They were simply two complete lives trying to merge without enough room for both histories to breathe. After 60, our habits are not just routines. They are anchors. And shifting them takes emotional flexibility than most people realize, especially when love itself already requires patience and trust. This is why so many couples find peace in a different kind of love story. They stay committed, devoted, and emotionally connected, yet each keeps their own home, their own space, their own sanctuary. Living apart together is not a sign that something is missing. It is often the wiser path that protects both hearts and gives the relationship space to grow instead of suffocating. Before we move on, let me ask you something, and I'd truly love to hear your answer in the comments. Do you believe two people over 60 need to share a home to prove their love, or can distance be its own form of closeness? And as we continue, keep this in mind. If you think you already understand how men behave in love after 60, wait. What comes next may completely change the way you see them. 5. Mistaking physical intimacy for emotional love. What if the moment that feels the most magical is also the moment that blinds us the most? This is something I've seen again and again in people over 60 who begin to feel closeness after years of emotional drought. When your body has gone a long time without being held, without being desired, without feeling warmth against your skin, the first touch can feel like a rebirth, and that is exactly why it can become dangerous. After a long stretch of loneliness, physical intimacy hits the heart with a force that can be overwhelming. Oxytocin rises, dopamine spikes, your nervous system lights up in ways you may not have felt in decades. Suddenly, everything feels meaningful, intense, and important. You begin to believe that this connection is emotional simply because it feels powerful. But physical intensity is not the same as emotional safety. I have seen many people make life-changing decisions based purely on that rush, moving in too quickly, giving up privacy, sharing finances, ignoring disrespect, accepting attitudes or behaviors they would never tolerate otherwise, not because they are weak, but because they are afraid of losing the feeling of being wanted again. There is also a quieter pressure unique to this age. After 60, many people fear they are no longer attractive or desirable. So when someone shows desire, they cling to it as proof that they still matter. They bend their boundaries. They silence their needs. They choose closeness over self-respect because it feels like the last chance to experience passion. But intimacy should not come at the cost of your dignity. The truth is, you deserve both. You deserve tenderness and respect, closeness and honesty, affection and stability. You should never sacrifice your emotional health just to keep someone who only offers chemistry without care. As I've learned from many stories shared with me over the years, physical closeness can open the door, but only emotional truth can turn that door into a home. And with that in mind, we still need to look at one more danger, one that echoes far beyond your own heart.
6. The ripple effect on family. A new love after 60 never enters your life quietly. It moves through every part of your world, including the people who have been standing beside you for decades. Many believe that romance at this age is only about two hearts choosing each other. But in reality, a late-life relationship sends ripples far beyond the couple. By the time we reach our 60s, family has grown into its own ecosystem. Your children know your rhythms. Your grandchildren feel safe in the familiar warmth of your presence. Holidays, traditions, even the layout of your home carry emotional meaning. When someone new steps in, especially if the relationship moves too fast, the balance of that system changes. I have watched families pull away not because they oppose love, but because they fear losing you. Children worry about your safety. Grandchildren sense the shift and become quieter during visits. Old rituals fade, and sometimes the very relationships you poured your life into become strained without you noticing it first. Carlos is someone I will always remember. He fell in love so quickly that he didn't see how his new partner was slowly separating him from his family. At first, he ignored the tension. Then came the arguments. Eventually, the distance became real, and by the time he realized the impact, years of emotional closeness had fractured in ways he couldn't mend. But love doesn't have to divide. It can also unite when handled with patience. Maria is proof of that. She allowed her new partner to enter her world little by little. She shared openly with her children. She protected her finances. She gave everyone time to adjust, and because of that, her family accepted the relationship not with fear, but with warmth. Love after 60 should feel like an addition to your life, not a replacement for the bonds you have already built. It should bring harmony, not suspicion, connection, not distance.
Love after 60 is not something we should fear, and it is certainly not something we should run from. If anything, it can become the most genuine love of our entire lives. Because by this age, our hearts no longer seek drama. They seek peace, honesty, and companionship that feels like a quiet morning sun. But I've learned that for love to flourish at this stage, we must move slowly. We must protect our independence emotionally and financially. And above all, we must never step into a relationship just to escape loneliness. Loneliness is temporary. The wrong relationship can leave scars that last much longer. The right person will never rush you, pressure you, or pull you away from the life you've built. They will simply fit into it, naturally and gently. True love after 60 does not take anything from you. It gives, it calms, and it protects everything you've built. If this message resonates with you, please like this video and subscribe for more heartfelt wisdom from Wise Life After 60.